Awesome. So that was Satya. All right. So we called the conference Generation AI, or that's the theme this year. This is top of mind for everyone. Generative AI, large language models, AI, data. But the question we have to ask ourselves, why is this happening now? You know, we've been talking about data and AI for 10 years here at this conference. Why is it taking off now? Why is it becoming such a sort of breakthrough? Well, we think at Databricks that innovations don't really become technology revolutions before they're democratized. Okay, so you're gonna hear this word a lot, democratization. So we think that's why this is happening right now. And actually, it makes sense if you look historically at this. Computing was actually invented already, I mean, frankly, in the 40s, computers existed. At least the construct of the Turing machine, and then the early computers and so on. But it wasn't until really the 80s, when the personal computer appeared in everyone's home, that it was democratized. Then suddenly everyone had a PC, and they had the spreadsheets, and with DOS, that's Microsoft had developed, it became democratized. Same thing with the internet. Internet was actually a DARPA project in 1969, and none of us were using it, or none of our parents, probably maybe someone in the audience. But it wasn't until 1990s when Mark Andreessen, who actually will be here on stage for Fireside Chat tomorrow, invented the web browser. That it became really democratized, and everybody got access to that using Mosaic or eventually Netscape. And now, same thing now. So AI has been around for a very long time, right? Maybe 50s, 60s. But this wave of deep learning really started, I would say, in the early 2010s. And it's not until this year that really generative models are taking off, because they're becoming democratized. Everybody has access to them. Everybody's noticed them. So I think there's been a revolution in awareness around the planet around what this technology can do. Okay? And at Databricks, we have been saying that we want to democratize data and AI for a very long time. Actually, for almost now a decade. We've been saying this technology needs to be democratized. And the problem in the industry has been that these two worlds of data and AI have actually been separated in the past. Okay? There is the world of data, which primarily consists of data warehousing, which consists of structured data that you store, and then really you do business intelligence on it, and you ask questions about the past. Its roots is in Oracle. It's great technology, but it doesn't have any AI whatsoever in it. And then the world of AI, which is all about unstructured data, all these text that's all over the internet, the video, the audio, all this unstructured information that you can actually train models on and then start doing predictions in the future. Okay? And these worlds were incompatible. And our belief was you have to have them together. You have to merge them. And that's why we so hard push for the Lakehouse, the data lakehouse, right? The lake representing the AI, the house representing the structured AI, and unifying them in one place so that you can have all your data, whether it's structured or unstructured, with unified governance. And that's the most important part, actually, of the Lakehouse. That's the most important part to get right, so that you can do governance, not at the level of files, but at the level of data. And then on top of that, you could do all these things. You could do backwards-looking BI, data warehousing, ask questions about the past, and you can look into the future, and you can do AI, and you can predict the future. Okay? At Databricks, the actual technologies that we embraced and that we're excited about, you can see it on the slides. The foundation of our lakehouse is Delta Lake, but there are other alternatives out there as well. We'll talk about them today. There's Unity Catalog for governance. We have lots of exciting announcements around that as well. There's Databricks Workflows, which actually is the bulk of what people do on Databricks, believe it or not. It's all the data processing that they do to get the data in a shape where they can actually start doing interesting things with it. Databricks SQL, which is our data warehouse. We have lots of announcements. We have actually a talk on that, so I'm excited about that. And then finally, for real-time stream processing with Delta Live Tables. So that's what this looks like. And this lakehouse now is actually adopted by over 10,000 customers. So many of you are actually in the audience that are using this technology. So we're very proud to announce this number for the first time here. And I want to really welcome to stage Larry Feinsmith, who leads all of tech strategy and innovation at JPMC, which is the largest bank in the United States, to talk about how they are using the data lakehouse for all their data and AI. So let's welcome Larry.
Hey, Ali.
Larry.
How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Welcome. Good to see you. Awesome. Very, very excited. So Larry, I'd love to start just at the top. JPMC, you have for a long time believed in data, AI. It's been a big investment. You started very, very early in that. Can you tell us a little bit about that evolution and what role did data and AI play in this journey?
Sure. First, let me start by saying what a fabulous conference this is. I'm thrilled to be here today. Great to hear Chachi's comments and your comments, and great to be here with all of you today. The energy is palpable in here. It's just absolutely fabulous. So let me start, and you covered a couple of the points. JP Chase has always been a data-driven company. In fact, we have about 500 petabytes of data. And I used ChatGPT last night because I wanted to visualize what does 500 petabytes of data actually look like. So I'm going to give you what ChatGPT said to me as an analogy. It said if you took 500 petabytes of data and sliced it up into DVDs, 5 gig at a time, it would be 100 times higher than Mount Everest, which is the largest peak on Earth. So if you want to talk about data-driven, so we've been investing in data warehousing technologies, as you and Satya mentioned. We've been investing in dashboards. We've been investing in BI tools. And that has been since I joined JP Chase 15 plus years ago. So we've always been data-driven. But as you continue to look at, and I'm surprised you talked about it a little bit, you talked about traditional analytics. We've also focused on AI, ML, and predictive analytics. And that's where we're accruing a lot of value. In AI and ML and the predictive side, we have about 300 use cases in production.
Wow.
And those use cases are yielding about $1.5 billion value to our firm this year alone. That could be operational efficiency, revenue enablement. And let me bring it to life a little bit. Fraud. Many of you in the room who are Chase customers, maybe you get a text. In milliseconds when a transaction goes through, we're able to look at a model and determine is it fraudulent or is it a good transaction. And that's all been driven by AI ML. And we think on average we have benefit of about 150 million.
Wow. Can I tell you a personal story? I'm a Chase customer. I have the credit card.
You're on a special list, so we look for you very, you want to talk about, that's your own, that's Gen AI at its best. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Usually when you travel, you have to tell, I'm going to this country, please don't cancel the card. So I was traveling, to the Bahamas recently, and I said, I had to put that in, and it said, you don't need to tell us anymore. That feature is disabled. We're okay. We know. We have the analytics.
Yeah.
You're safe. You don't need to tell us where you're traveling.
And we have a tremendous focus. The other area, Ali, and that's around personalization. What you just experienced was personalization. So during the pandemic, every one of our lines of business, was focused on. That might be my wife calling. She's very excited today. Exactly. So every one of our lines of business has a digital engagement platform. And we want to make sure that their experience with us is, like you mentioned, is a best-in-class user experience. So we've embedded AI ML into things like personalization of all of our digital engagement properties. And we think that's going to make a huge difference for how we service our clients and customers. And oh, by the way, AI ML was the primary reason we decided a couple of years back to go to the public cloud. Elasticity, availability of computing resources. So that was a major thing there. So that's a little bit about our journey, and that's how we're thinking about things.
That's amazing. It's remarkable to see.
I do want to say one more thing. If you look at our size and scale, and that's 65 million digital customers, 45 million mobile customers, we move $10 trillion of payment transactions a day.
Wow.
As well as has 6,000 applications in our fabric. We need to deploy AI ML at scale, and the only way to do that is through platforms. And that's how we're addressing our entire stack, is to roll out platforms. So in the AI ML space, we have a platform we call Jade, which allows us to move, and more importantly, as you talked about, manage. We got an applause for Jade out there. Move and manage data. And the other one is called infinite AI, which I love because it's the AI that never ends, it's infinite. And that platform is for data scientists.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. I'm curious. So platforms, we are big believers in that too. You know, if you have lots of hodgepodge of things, it's very, very hard to build a sustainable sort of future with data and AI. So I'm curious, you touched on some of these. What are the capabilities that you require from those kind of platforms?
Yeah, so you talk a lot about the importance of data. I know you a long time, and you've been talking to me about the importance of data. But equally as important, as you always say, is the capabilities that surround that data. So, of course, the first thing is data discovery.
Yes.
Right? After data discovery, you need to properly entitle data. And for instance, at Databricks, you probably have access to a lot of data that maybe some of your other organizations don't have. And then being a highly regulated company, data lineage for JPMorgan Chase is key. Where did the data come from? Where do you land it? And what are you using it for? In fact, we have a data use council. So that's incredibly important. And then if you combine that with the capabilities for data scientists, that's all the capabilities around the model development lifecycle. So feature engineering, experimentation, training the models, which you want to do in an economic way, the whole operations part of that. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to mark-to-market Databricks on that because you're helping us solve a lot of those goals. And by the way, this is all happening, you mentioned streaming, this is all starting to happen in real time. And when you think about 500 petabytes in Mount Everest, that's a lot of data to move around the environment in real time. So we're very, very excited about the Unity catalog. In our use cases that we're using Databricks for, the ability to govern and manage and do data lineage, that is, just has been fabulous for us. By the way, you mentioned your SQL data warehousing. We have gotten great results and performance from your SQL data warehousing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that's pretty good. We're incredibly excited from Delta Live Tables. We also, over time, want to share with our clients and customers and internally over time, so you're Delta sharing. But I would just tell you this, and you hit the nail on the head. The Lakehouse architecture is transformational. And the reason I say that, for years, JPMorgan Chase and other enterprises, it's 2 stacks. And it was optimized for 2 stacks, and that was great then. But the economies of scale, the efficiency of moving the amount of data that I talked about into an environment and being able to do different processing capabilities, either SQL or training or what have you, is incredibly differentiating. I will tell you this, it does need to be interoperable because all of our data isn't going to end up in Databricks, no matter what discount you give me. So I just want I just want you to know that interoperability is very important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think Jamie really wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember actually when you told me many years back, you said, hey, it's a big deal that data warehousing and AI finally can be unified. Do you remember it was in New York?
Yeah.
You said, this is a big deal for us. This is.
And by the way, at initial blush, you have to prove that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've proved.
Yeah. So this is awesome. So I'm curious. Okay, so invested a lot in data, BI, and then now, using the Lakehouse. What about generative AI? How do you guys look at generative AI, and what does it mean for the business and the future of JPMC?
So listen, a lot of optimism, a lot of excitement. The businesses all know about it because you can read about it every day. So it's very, very exciting. And what I will say is the capabilities around summarization, Q&A. I asked the question last night about an analogy. It came back right away around Mount Everest. It's making people more productive. Functional areas like marketing that want to do marketing copy. And of course, as Chachi mentioned, code. We're very much interested in GitHub Copilot and the ability to have Gen AI help us with code, but there's still human in the loop there. I just want to make that. But that is democratization of AI. By the way, in this room, which is enormous, by the way, this is like a concert almost, but who here is a Python engineer? Who here uses C++ or Scala or Go? Raise your hand. Virtually all of you, which is great. But through Gen AI, I'm the same now. Because the way, that's right, I'm the same.
Larry's a top coder.
The way in which you're going to speak to computers is through English. And it's going to be through native languages in different countries. That is incredibly democratizing. But let me just tell you this.
You're stealing my whole thunder for the rest of the keynote.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So let's just put the LLMs aside. We think there's a bifurcation here because even though we're going to get value through LLMs, through vector databases and vector search and embeddings and fine-tuning and training our employees around prompt engineering, it's still trained on public data. Yeah. And we'll provide context through that in a highly secure way. But where we think is additive to that is training on those 500 petabytes, making Mount Everest valuable for all of our clients and customers. So we're going to use open source models. We're very interested in DALL-E. We're going to have a platform for that. Congratulations on Mosaic, fabulous acquisition, and we knew that organization. So I'm getting a lot of applause here, so I don't know what's going on. But
told them you're a top coder, so they're excited.
So in any event, I think it's going to be a 1 + 1 equals whatever that multiplier is. It's going to be way more than 10. But I will tell you this. We at JP Morgan Chase will not roll out Gen AI until we can mitigate all of the risks. So you want to talk about responsible AI. You want to talk about hallucinations. You want to talk about misuse. You want to talk having the right cyber capabilities so that the models aren't poisoned or tampered. So we're excited. We're working through those risks as we speak, but we won't roll it out until we can do this in an entirely responsible manner. And it's going to take time, as Chachi said, to work through all of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been discussing it. You've kept me up to date, and it's very clear that you want to do it, you want to go all in, but
it's the first inning
but
for
not,
baseball analogy.
But you're not just going to play it fast and loose and see where we end up. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so I'm a technologist, so all problems can be solved with technology only. But the reality is, you have people in an organization. JP is a gigantic organization with lots of people. How do you get the people to come along in this journey with data and AI and generative AI so that you can actually bring about that change? Because if the people in JPMC do not embrace this, then it doesn't matter. All the technology is sort of wasted, right? So how do you do that change management as a large organization?
Yeah, it's a very timely question, and I agree with you. It starts with people and talent. And by the way, there's a lot of really bright minds in this room who are really adding value to this whole data ecosystem, AI/ML. So if you want to work for the best financial institution that's doing AI/ML, I encourage you to send your resume to AIR, which is Artificial Intelligence Research, recruiters@chase.com. Send them over.
You don't even need to know programming. You just need to know English.
We'll share. So organizationally, it all starts with the business.
Yeah.
And the business has to be accountable for understanding how to apply AI/ML. And that's something that's from Jamie Dimon on down, that making the business accountable. We embed our data scientists and our ML engineers in the business. They know what problems to solve. They know the data, what aspects of the data. And by the way, we're moving to data products, right? So in the business, you'll earn certain products, which is why, again, Unity Catalog is incredibly important to be able to store that metadata and provision data products. But it all starts in the business. And to that, let me just tell you this. We made an announcement last week that we named a firm-wide Chief Data and Analytics Officer. Oh. Now, the title Chief Data and Analytics Officer, and maybe some of you are in the room here who have that title, that's typically in the line of business. This is a firm-wide. 4 responsibilities: AI enablement, the ability to have an ML Center of Excellence, a SWAT team that works with the business, AI research, Horizon 2, Horizon 3, Horizon 4, where is this technology going? But the fourth one, I think, is the most important. It's a responsible AI team. And they're ethicists in that team. Now, this organization that now has a firm-wide CDO, they'll work with the platform teams in AI. So it's not just about technology, it's about the business understanding how to use this technology. So they'll work with the J team and the Infinite AI team, with ethicists, data scientists, ML engineers, and that's how. But there'll be a lot of scrutiny on Gen AI specifically. So we're really excited to mobilize the organization to figure out how to transform the business, digital engagement, better risk management, building responsible products, so on and so forth. And by the way, Ali, a whole industry is popping up around AI security.
Yeah.
Right in front of us, right now.
Of course.
And it's, I'm meeting with a bunch of folks in the AI security space over the next couple of days. So the fact that you can embed or interoperate with those is fabulous. Very, very important.
Awesome. Actually, I have to say, it's so impressive to see at JP Morgan Chase scale. I mean, you're the largest bank in the United States. This is the thing, I get asked all the time, what should we do at the people? How do we get and in much smaller companies, how do we get the data and AI strategy right? And that's actually one of my advice to them usually is, if you have lots of different fiefdoms and lots of different parts of the organization that are doing data and AI and shadow IT, and then they get into politics, fighting each other, you make no progress. And that's the thing that's stagnating the organizations and slowing them down. So the fact that if JP Morgan Chase can have one completely company-wide chief data analytics officer that actually can run the operations with large org, anyone should do that. I mean, anyone could do that, and it's so important.
Yeah, and Ali, you're right. Everyone has an opinion on what platform to use here. But I will tell you, one of the advantages you have, and I evangelize at our firm, is efficiently move the data once, and then manage the environment and have as much capability against it. Once you start moving data around, it's a nightmare to manage. It's highly inefficient. You break data lineage. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with you.
Okay, so final question. You guys are investing so much. Now you have a sort of centralized org that does this. There's so much innovation.
It's central but federated. So
central and federated.
Yeah.
That's actually the right way.
Yeah, that's
because otherwise it won't work either, because they won't have the domain knowledge that the different parts of the business has.
Exactly.
So I'm curious. There's lots of practitioners here, young folks, people that actually are excited. And actually, I'm strongly recommend. I think JPMC has an amazing organization, amazing talent, investing heavily. Any advice to the audience? How should they think about if they're interested in working on data and AI and innovation at JPMC?
Well, listen, innovation, I'll do a little pitch for innovation at JP Morgan Chase. It starts with our senior leadership. I would encourage everyone in this room to take, a little bit of time to read Jamie Dimon's shareholder letter that he does every year. And you know what AI ML was mentioned 19 times in Jamie's shareholder letter. The only words that were mentioned more were interest rates, of course, which is not surprising. And it starts from top of house. We also spend a great deal of time highlighting and making sure the businesses can innovate. So we have innovation teams in the business. I happen to run a firm-wide technology innovation team, as you pointed out. And we spend a lot of time ensuring that we're connected to the ecosystem. So there's a great opportunity for anyone who joins to work with amazing entrepreneurs, amazing startups, all the way up through Microsoft for that matter. And that's how you and I met. You and I met in 2016 before you were famous. And look where we are now. But, and the last thing I would say is we recognize and celebrate innovation. Just 2 weeks ago, we have an internal event we call our JPMC Innovation Week. And even though we innovate every day, every week, every month, we take that week to celebrate our inventors and the things we're doing and share knowledge. We had 45 sessions on data and AI. Jamie and I kicked it off, and it's amazing to hear your CEO and your chairman talk about innovation as part of our DNA, and innovation is part of our culture.
He
So
deeply cares. I mean, he really understands this stuff and really. is into it.
Absolutely. We get to spend time with him and make sure he understands what's going on in the ecosystem. So air.recruiters@chase.com.
Okay, we'll share the link.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Larry. Actually, we met before 2016, but you don't remember. Thank you so much.
All
Looking
right.
forward to a great partnership together.
Great to
Thank you so
see
much. Thank you.
Great.